Hello guys and welcome to a 1v1 cast of one of my games on Arena. This is a ranks game between me and this person here in red. I'm not going to try and pronounce that, but unbeknownst to me at the time, red was significantly higher rated than me. Probably good that I didn't know that going into the game. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've done one of these casts, so just double checked on the channel, and the last time I casted one of my own games was April 2020, where I was only around 1100 rated. So this is going to be a mini series, or intended to be a mini series. So you can see at the time of this game I was 1648, so one of my highest ever elos, and I was sort of gearing up to try and hit 1700 before the end of the year. That was my target. So we will see how it goes. So matchup of this game here. So myself in blue, playing as the Hindustanis. My opponent, I believe, force picked this game. They are in red, playing as the Huns. So going into the game, thought, about what the matchup could be. Presumably scouts opening by both players. Obvious advantages for the Huns are their, I believe it's faster working stables and cheaper CA, but they also, don't have to create houses as well. Hindustanis, fantastic eco bonuses, slightly cheaper vills in every age. Similarly, good cav, fantastic camo options as well. So it was my intention to play into cav as well, and make this a cav fight to the extent possible. So you'll see my build going free on wood, but this villager decides that she's her own person, strong independent woman. She'll chop her own trees, not the trees I sent her to, but that's by the by. And something that I've started incorporated into my builds as well now is just pushing deer more frequently on open maps like Arabia. Obviously, closed maps always pushing my deer, but on open maps as well now I find the advantages of pushing that one or two deer is often more advantageous. So I've scouted my opponents early, unless I think they're going to go for a drush or some sort of men-at-arms build. So let's see what my opponent's scouting looks like. I've not watched this recording back yet, so for me this is as much of a learning experience as it is a cast for your entertainment and hopefully information as well. Hopefully we'll all learn a little something. So obviously my opponent much higher rated than me, statistically the favourite in this matchup, and I thought this would be a good time to see what is the difference between a nearly 1800 player and a mid 1600 elo player. At the moment, everything's equal. No idle time, well, negligible idle time. Good worker efficiency by both. His is a lot higher than mine. I think this is because I do a lot of garrisoning my TC to kill hunt and such. Yeah, they're slightly later onto berries. I presume that's because, but slightly more on wood. I'm guessing that's to take into account for the slightly less wood that they start with. And it's only now that I've started going forwards with my scout, and it's the same for my opponent as well. I could tell from the score that they would probably pushed a few deer as well. So yeah, nothing. I suppose we should talk about the maps. Forward barriers for my opponents. Secured the wood line here. Walking towards the TC here. It's obviously not their first rodeo. Back gold. That's fairly safe. Interestingly enough, they're missing two sheep, and they haven't bothered to look in this direction. I presume they just think that I've lamed them, which I haven't. And then for me, forward gold, really, really not fun, but good wood, good two side wood lines. They're good. Berries, they're secure. And given that, do I save the sheep? You didn't notice. There we go. And given that I was going scouts anywhere, my objective was get the scouts early, secure the map control, keep the pressure at their base, and then I can secure the gold later. Okay, so I've gone up on 19 bills, my opponent's gone up on 20. Something I've toyed with recently as well is going up without loom to get up slightly earlier if I think my opponent's also going scouts. That has worked, but not something that I've not come to a firm decision yet as to whether or not that's worth it. Check my scouting. I've seen everything I need to see. Nothing on that wood line. I've seen the barracks, berries, wood line, gold. know the TC is here somewhere. And for my opponent, what do they see? Same sort of thing. They haven't seen my wood line here. I'm guessing they assume that I'm here, but they've not scouted this wood line here, which is interesting, very interesting. And I'm just about to click up, and straight away, double pick the axe, stable goes down. I'm having a look, wondering why they're not up. A few minutes idle TC time, and ordinarily what I do is I queue a villager on the way up to the next age, but as Hindustanis, you pay the price of the age that you generate the unit in, so it's worth waiting until you're in feudal or castle age to queue your next villagers, just to save those small amount of resources. Just got to be quicker on that mark. Only one vill being used to create the stables for my opponent, but they've made a spear, as have I, just to equal things up. Taken a few hits, but scout HP is 32 to 35. Not the end of the world. I've got my second scout coming in. Another scout on the way. Constant scout production for me, not constant scout production for my opponent yet. Slightly more idle TC time as well. Might have gotten howls there, not entirely sure. Missed that. But there we go. So I've got 2 spears on the field, 1 more in the queue, and because I'm hoping to make this a full-on scout war to the extent that I can, so I'm quite happy to invest into all this feudal army as well, get a horse collar nice and early as well before I start putting down my farms. And I think this was my first game of the day. I think it was my only game of the day this particular day, but I was quite keen for that reason as well, not to overextend myself. Wanted good numbers before I moved out, wanted to keep some spears at home so I could secure my base. This was fairly straightforward to wall, but what I didn't want to do is expose myself in this area, so I was keeping some army at home to secure that with army. Just one scout coming forwards here. Opponent starting to come forwards with a couple scouts, and again I'm going to start probing my opponent. I was looking for an overchop, that would have been nice. Spear wall going on there, I'll win that comfortably. And the Hindustanis have a bonus. I don't know if you can get on the tech tree on capture age, but they have a bonus where they do extra damage to buildings. So it's useful to know if you are playing as the Hindustanis, you've got cav, just keep poking away at their houses, walls, palisades, even the production buildings. It's very useful. And again, I've got this down in time. I don't see the scouts yet. That's what I'm worried about. I know my opponent has scouts on the field. I just haven't seen them. Glimpse there. Probably didn't catch that in a moment. But here we go. They're starting to come around now. And I've got 1 spear at home. They've done a good job of leading my spears away. And I've sent them back home. I could have been better with my scout usage now. Thinking about it, I could have caught this much sooner. 1 scout here has given me the intel I need. Sending my spears forward. And then, how fancy do I get? There might be a gap there. Nice, nice. House. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Starting to get better. Like, this is okay. I try not to be too fancy with the quick walling at this level. My objective is more to put myself in a position where I don't need to quick wall, ideally, to save units. But that was huge. That was huge. Just sneaking in here. And now that I realise that I'm in, and I don't need any more army at home, I've secured my gold as best as I can. My objective was just to run around as much as I can. Saw the archery range, that's big. Straight away, immediate reaction. I'll put down an archery range of my own. Produce a few skirms to counter the archers that I knew would be coming my way. At this point I was worried, like, are they up or are they going up? You know, because their scores dip below mine. But thankfully not. So yeah, just trying to be cute with the scouts, trying to find damage where I can, just trying to keep my opponent busy. Again, they're not working with their scouts, I'm working with mine. Even this by itself, I think its value is keeping spears at their base. It's requiring some of their attention. I get a few hits on their spears. on their scouts, even with my spears, and I'm just trying to see what intel I can gather. At this point, I've only seen one range, and I've clicked up to castle. My opponent's still some way off. I'm also more Veals ahead, which is pretty mad considering that there's no eco KD, and I've already clicked up. And what else is it I'm trying to say? So I've clicked up, ahead with Veals. I'm pretty happy with this. And I've got less idle TC time as well, so 26 seconds as opposed to a minute and 8, which is okay. It's okay, not obviously work towards perfection, so ideally that would be 0, but 26 seconds is fine, especially unless you're at the very top level. You don't need to be the best, you just need to be better than your opponent, and certainly that in this, I'm doing that on the idle side in this particular game. Doesn't work that way for every game. Oh, sniped the farm. I think I sniped the farm. And then, oh, didn't quite get it down. Let's see, any of the villagers are going to go down. Pick off one, and then back out. Because I just want to be annoying. I wasn't expecting to get value, that was bonus. I was pretty pleased with that. I've cleared up all the scouts at home earlier. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how Feudal Age has gone so far. Just hoping to be up first, and as soon as I'm in, my plan is, I've seen the archery ranges. Ooh, seen the archery ranges at this point. Plan is skirms at home. They should come out. Elite skirmisher on the way. Vodka in. Excellent. And my plan is, let's just boom at home. Defend with skirms, boom at home. Snipe villages where I can. Again, just buying myself some time here as well. And my opponent is waiting until they've hit castle age before they want to do any damage with this, I think. There's 8 archers to my 5 skirmishers, which are soon to be elite skirmishers. I should clear that up with relatively few issues. Monmouthville. Take that. Must be super annoying for my opponent. Just running around. This is one of those things I think if you get higher and higher in Elo, spears at home are less effective at clearing up army and more effective at just keeping them away from Veals. So ideally you would just keep spear here, spear here, spear here, maybe one chasing. But yeah, I'm happy to take this fight as well. And I'll put down a university, got fast ballistics because I'm expecting a CA switch. That's because of the amount I've seen on gold. Seen that there's 2 ranges, and it also doesn't quite make sense for Huns to go into knights if Hindustanis have good camels to counter them with. So again, still just running, using this breathing space as well to set up my eco at home. Happy with my skirm defense. Constant build production. Again, TC time is nice and low. 2.5 minutes of idle TC time here from my opponent. It's quite surprising. I think it's quite surprising, but there we go. So yeah, try not extending with my skirms. So skirms are very much a defensive unit, and again, I've got up quicker. My eco's set up. I'm going to put down a 3rd TC when I can. Try escape with some of the scouts. They've done what they need to do. Was quite happy that I used them to explore the rest of the map, try and find some relics, and keep the skirms at home. Got enough wood now for a TC. Should be dropping very soon. I realise wood is going to be a problem, so I'll go for a nice new wood line. But I don't see this. I don't see this. Got my skirms at the front. I'm expecting him to try and hit my gold. Don't see this. Oh, and at this point it's 54 Veals to 36. 1, 2. 2 Veals are dead before I even notice, and I've opened up my base. It's going to come right in. Lost 2 Veals so far, so it's 2 for 2. Skirms are coming through. So what I do here is I delete a house. It's not 4 Veals lost. 5, 6. but I've got the skirms in position now. That's not ideal, but what it does do is it prompts me into producing a few camels and bringing the skirms in. What I was going to say, deleting this house here, tip I picked up from some higher elo players. I think it was some coaching with TRM, which was, you know, it's all about speed at this point. How quickly can you bring your army to where it needs to be? How quickly can you know, how many veals can you save? All these marginal, you know, you're playing with fine margins here, but that's makes a difference. Get the quick walls down there to save the veal. I'm pleased about that. And at this point, the mites themselves, no armor on them, so the skirms can actually do some damage. And there we go. We're going to get that back. So that lost 8 veals. It's given my opponent a chance to catch up. I've only just returned back to the villager number I was at before this tragedy happened. But thankfully, not the end of the world. Not in this game. But well, could have been if it was much tighter coming into Castle Age. That could have been it. Could have been it. And they return home, and I don't need to go home again. I'm not the one on the clock here. My opponent very much is. I think long term I have the better composition, and I've got up to Castle Age earlier. I see the score difference. I'm confident that my eco is better. So yeah, quite happy to stay defensive, especially the nature of my units as well being counter units. Difficult to put the pressure on. If I'm being critical of myself, one of the things that I should be doing is looking at my resources, floating loads of gold, so that's good. I've taken some off, redistributed them to other sources, put down a market so I can start spending those resources. I want to be spending my resources as quickly and efficiently as possible to whatever my goal is going to be. And at this moment, the goal is set up the eco. I want to secure these hills in front of my base. Long term, I'm thinking Gulam will be a nice switch to go into eventually, especially if my opponent's going into CA, ranged units, and yeah, just trying to wall parts of my base effectively. So I haven't quite scouted to the edge of the map here. That's something I could do, but just trying to wall off as much as I can, secure some positions. Building some more production buildings. I've seen that my opponent's going into knights. Hindustani camels are good. They're somewhat effective as well against the crossbows as well, especially with a few elite skirms behind. My opponent's still not got +1 or +2. And if you look at mine, haven't got anything yet. Only just come in. So I've got +1 now. And as a general rule, if you're the knight's opponent, you can take somewhat cost-effective fights against camels as long as you are one series of upgrades ahead of your opponent. So if your opponent's got +1 camels, you want to have +2 knights. So I've gotten into the habits now of clicking my units more, paying more attention to what upgrades they have, compared to what upgrades I have, and then determining if it's a good fight or not. But yeah, as we're going, I'm still comfortable. Pretty happy here with the amount of villages I have. I've got a good number of farms on. Once I get to like 35, 40 farms, I generally start thinking about going to Imp when I'm playing as a cab civ. Not secured any relics yet, but I've got the monastery down, and I should be looking to queue a monastery as a monk at some point. Love my monks. To start gathering some of those relics, and if nothing else as well, a helpful tip I've found, forgotten about this scout, it's a bit lazy of me, is using, if you're not using monks to defend at home, using them to scout the edge of the maps and picking up relics when you can as well. That little trickle of gold I'm finding is, you know, you're playing for fine margins in this game, and that sometimes is the difference between an extra 400 gold or not, which is the difference between, you know, cavalier or heavy camel or not. So as we go, getting bloodlines in. My opponent's got bloodlines, just trying to catch up on the army upgrades. And again, not much happening at this point. Let's see what they see. Haven't seen this gone up yet. They've seen a few of the production buildings happening in the middle. I think similar to me, they're just trying to secure the hills in front of the base. Don't want, if I put down a castle here, deny this gold, be problematic. for them on the production buildings as well. But what I don't know, obviously, is little raid here. Got a few spears. Camels coming in. That will be easily cleared up. What I was going to say is, I've not seen, obviously don't know my opponent's got that, but I want to get a castle down, ideally on this hill here, to prevent my opponent from clawing their way back into this game. So, I see the crossbows. Not sure if I saw those pikes at the time, but I do have that intel. He's done a very good job as well, leading away my camel army as well. Ideally, I should only have sent 2 or 3 camels over there and left more at home to secure this hill with army. And then, here come the villagers. But yeah, I'm now comfortable that I'm about to click up to him. I see this and I'm just like, sod it. Ideally, I'd have my castle there, but much better to secure the 2 golds if I can. Even here would have been slightly better, but I wanted it more than anything. Wanted to secure this wood mine and this gold. I was somewhat willing to give up this gold patch if I had to. I knew I had this gold at the back, so I was lucky with my map on that front. I don't see the foundation yet. Start to see some villagers. My castle's already going up. And I'm quite happy to take this fight, and I think I'd rather kill the army than deny the castle, but I think I'd try to be somewhat greedy and do both. Press the knights down, looping my camels around. Was using the skirms to take out the crossbows, but actually I think skirms can deny more of the villagers than the camels can, but then I'm just like, nah, let's just kill the villagers and then knock off the army. Not sure what's garrisoned in there, just a few gulam. That's exactly right from my thinking earlier. You know, that's the end game. Sending a bit of, because I've been pushed on gold, sending a bit of food, had loads of food, rocking the economy, 48 bills on food now. There we go. Lower HP, lower gold value units, but he's not got anything that can push this. And I've got all my camels healing up in here. Might even have herbal medicine. That's another technology I've been looking to get more frequently. Is herbal medicine. It's just amazing value for keeping your units in the game. And I see my opponents coming around here, but luckily I walled everything up. Wasn't entirely confident that was full walled at the time, so there we go. And I'm just about to hit him, so going to prep the trebs to go down. Got another castle, and at this point I'm thinking, where do I put the castle? Second castle, do I pop it here? Do I pop it here? But kind of a moot question. GG, well played from my opponent. I was quite happy with that when I saw the score, the elo difference. I was pretty shocked by that. It was quite a comfortable game for me. I think I did everything right. Decision making wise, my execution was good enough. Was trying to stick to good fundamentals, spending my food, spending my resources, and particularly spending my wood before I take any engagements. Trying to balance my eco as effectively as possible, think about the matchup, think about my map when determining what strategies to go for. I didn't even have to do that much damage at their base, to be honest, because of the approach I adopted. But yeah, if we have a quick look as well, I've scouted. I'm quite happy with what I've scouted. Scouted everything that I need. I've seen a few more extra resources on this stone. I haven't seen this gold yet, but I'd find that eventually. I've even got, and this was a conscious decision as well, was to send some light cav out to my opponent where I knew their extra resources were, so try and keep them in their base, try and harass wherever possible. And actually, something that I've missed is I recall sending a few light cav earlier in the map to go raid, like 1 or 2, just a few, just kept them busy at home, just to be annoying. And then if we watch the statistics, yeah, we're quite comfortable in all of this. Scroll through the tabs because everyone loves the stats. 81 kills, 62 losses. Conversions, love my conversions. Army highs are similar, but again, my composition was just, well, just so well suited for this matchup, especially in the way that I was playing quite defensively. Economy, yeah, just what's that? 8,000 more resources in total. Only gold that I was down on, and again, not vital in this instance, simply because I was making so many counter units. I got some relic gold as well. My opponent got none. Technologies, fast hit to every age, not be all and end all, but often find as well scouting is a good indicator of like how comfortable a particular match is for each player. The higher exploration, the more time, the more breathing room you've had, the more time you have to think, the more information you have in making your decisions. So if we return to the map, see my opponent's point of view, it's very narrow. They've not even seen this extra gold, or they're starting 2 sheep still that I'm camping as well. It's very limited by them in terms of what they have scouted and what they see. It's just this middle part of the map, none of the extremities, none of the relics, none of the flanks. And then society, higher vills. I've got the more effective boom, the more efficient boom. APM is eco game effective eco APM. Is average, slightly more effective by slightly higher from my opponent, which I think makes sense. They are much higher rated than me as well, have much more experience. Military effective APM, I don't know that's a significant difference to me. I think I query how much of that is actually effective, and how much of that is just me clicking my scouts around their base constantly in feudal age. But there we are. Happy to see that. Guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this cast. I certainly have. There'll be a couple more games at least coming up in the near future that I'm casting on my road to 1700. And yeah, if you have any comments or suggestions or any feedback on either the quality of the video or my gameplay, please pop it down in the comments. Have a good one.